thoughts.
Sorry about
Go
that.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm not good about holding peace always like that, but the whole issue
forgot,
is
so go
that, you know, the Jewish people are writing these books. The other thing is, a lot of people don't realize is that not only that, but you also have, except for the exception of Netanyahu, which his family is from Ukraine,
No,
and
Poland.
from Poland, from the Eastern Bloc.
Milakowski.
yeah.
His true name was Milakowski. They're basically
Yes.
white Eastern Europeans,
But the point is,
Ashkenazi Khazarians.
right, all
Okay.
of the prime ministers of Israel are from the former Soviet bloc, and this is why they brought in so many Russians, the scientists and things like that, to help create the state. And recently, I had the president's advisor wanted to know what the mindset was about Trump, because they had felt like that he had been pretty much stabbed in the back by the Israeli politicians. So I put in a request, all right, and I know that to me it's still a Hegelian dialectic. That's not the point. The point I want to make here, though, is so you see the mindset of what comes out of the government in Israel. So a friend of mine, his father-in-law is considered like one of the early founders of the Mossad group in Israel, and he talked to him about this, and he said, point blank, the Israeli leadership could give a you-know-what less about Trump. They only care about their own financial interest. Israel is second, and the people are last. People of Israel, that being, are last. All right, this is what we see going on a regular basis. And so it's not the Israeli people, it's the leadership, it's the elite, it's the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all these groups here. So, you know, this is what a lot of people don't pay attention to, and this is what we're trying to expose, is the corruption that is so deep. And of course, how they play both sides. You know, the Hegelian dialectic, just like in the case of not only the Bolshevik Revolution, but even in Iran. Iran was the same way. They played both sides of that, funded the opposition as well as the other side as well. So, you know, just kind of wanted you to know those things there. Did you remember your thought where you were at? Or did I mess you up too badly?
Well, the Israel, China, and Russia are together working on Silk Road Initiative, building upgraded Israeli project, which is called the Yinon Plan. And United States, of course, helped them. We were sucked dry, and we are no longer needed. So in a plan, it is to completely destroy this country, and they're doing it with their tools. And I was talking to you about the tools of revolution and counter-revolution and all of this. This is a very old technique of enemy that brought down a lot of big, huge countries like Russia. And I said that you are not familiar with true history because it was covered up. So it's very important that you get yourself familiar with it so you understand the techniques. I also said that if by any chance Trump comes out of it and he's victorious and he will declare, and I have several things, you know, he will declare that all of this, what we're going through, these things that we have to wear and distance ourselves, and all of this that people are getting right now, if he declares this is false, as a part of PSYOP and disinformation on American public, if he immediately stops warp speed, okay, if he stops the 5G towers around schools to protect our children, if he tells the true and real history on USS Liberty, Levant affair, 9/11, all of these things, if he would come out and restore our free speech and everything, then I will apologize and say, well, I guess you knew what you're doing and you really are a good person. Now, is this going to happen? Remember that he was completely bankrupt and the Rothschilds bailed him out. Okay, also, how about Kissinger and him? Anyway, you know that there is a connection. Even when Pachnik is talking some good things to you, Pachnik, okay, on Alex Jones' show, remember that Pachnik worked for Kissinger, and Kissinger was not on the list of someone that they wanted arrested, and that's pretty telling. So there is a lot of red flags in all of these Q movements and all of these intel about what's going on. And I have no doubt intel is correct. It's going on. But is this for our good is the question. He signed Insurrection Act. Is this for our good, or is it going to be used against the Patriots and Christians? Because Christians put themselves in a situation that they supported the man 100%. Didn't matter if he signed the wrong things, said the wrong things. They didn't care. They supported him. So here we go. This is what I wanted to tell you from history and from my research, that be very careful about the trust the plan thing, because it's been used before and it was used against the people.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people to take a serious look at both sides. And when it comes to the Insurrection Act, I did ask personally a friend of mine there in Washington about the Insurrection Act and about how that could be used against us. And and he said that issue has been brought up. So they're fully aware, even from that standpoint, that signing the Insurrection Act could actually go against Christians. Now, so there again, like Yana said, if the president really were to come out the way Steve Pachinik is saying, and make the stands that he is, and that he is against all these things that he's already been supporting thus far, and that this is just part of the sting operation, you had to play this part to do it, then that would be a welcomed breath of fresh air. But unfortunately, I have a hard time believing that's going to be the case. Even Alex Jones was like the same way. He's like, I'll just have to wait to see if that really happens.
I just want to tell you that learn from the history, okay? When government took any of your rights, of people's rights, government never gave it back. Once you gave up your rights because you wanted to be safe from invisible virus, these rights will never be given back. And you can see it even, well, I can't talk about this here. But anyway, what I would say and suggest is that don't trust either side. Be very cautious in trusting, because you see, Trump is in a different circles than you. He didn't come from us. He's not one of us. He's one of them, the elites. He is in their circle. He's not in our circle. So I am very worried about all of these people who are trusting politicians on any side. I am for people to trust Lord Jesus for our salvation.
Yes.
Get physically ready as much as possible. Get right with the Lord Jesus. Hug your families. Love each other. And just wait to see what happens. But I'm very afraid that this nation is going to fall according to the plan. And we can see it because there is this executive order that started with Obama, and Mr. Trump has never taken it out. He's never canceled it. It's an executive order to divide this nation for 5 super governors. I said 10 on previous videos, but it's actually 5 super governors, and they want this nation divided even geologically. Intel told us that the natural disasters will help this plan. So that makes me feel like they're controlling even the natural disasters. Anyway, Steve, go ahead.
To add to that point, the other thing that the Intel said to us as well, and this is Intel that is very strong supporter of President Trump, is that the whole plan of China taking over this nation and putting us under communism will still, it's not going to change any of that, that it will actually happen regardless. And that, but it's supposed to be post-Trump, right?
Yes.
Right, a quotation mark, right? I don't think it's some kind of weird signs or nothing. It's post-Trump is what it's supposed to be. That Trump is going to, by some miracle, give us some extra time, which we would welcome if that were the case. But you have to understand, when you see that and you know that that's still supposed to come, that's when you can't help but wonder that this is a Hegelian dialectic. Both sides are still working to make sure it goes to that direction.
I think we're in the middle of Hegelian dialectic right now, playing out perfectly.